All right, for this last video for today, when we are having our series of getting started videos, I want to very quickly go through mainly Gmail, and I'm going to just talk very briefly about Google Meet, which we will do a little bit more next week, and we'll try a Google Meet. And I realize that with some of your classroom teachers, you may be using Google Meet, which is very similar to Zoom, if you've heard of that. So we're going to pretend right now, because I'm trying to make this video a little bit more brief, that we are, again, that Weymouth student. I have the sample account set up here and logged in. You already know how to log in, so you're logged into Google Accounts or on your Chromebooks. And now we are going to see how to both check our email, called Gmail, and also reply and send an email. So like most things in Google, we're going to go to this 9-button app browser right here. And when I click on that, I see Gmail. There's also sometimes a shortcut for Gmail here. There's sometimes also a shortcut for Gmail as an icon in the bottom bar on a Chromebook. Again, it's many different ways of getting to the same thing. Okay, so there's even more ways, but one of them that's the easiest is to just click on that app browser and click on Gmail. So I'm in the Gmail account for this sample student. So sometimes in Gmail, or oftentimes in Gmail, if it's a brand new Gmail and you're logging in for the first time, it's going to give you an email message that's tipped for using your inbox, an email message that talks about getting the official Google Gmail app. For a smartphone or a tablet. And you could do either of those, but they're really not necessary. You could leave them there, you could delete them. They're really not very important. So we're going to see how to do two things. We're first going to see how to reply to a message, and then we're going to see how to create a brand new message. The first one that we're going to reply to, I'm going to send right now to our sample student, and you're going to see something like this come through to you. So right now, I'm going to go and type an email on my computer to samplestudent@weymouthTST.org. I'm going to give it a subject of sample email, and in the body of the main section of the message, I'm just going to type hello from Mr. Henderson. And then I'm going to click send. Now you'll see something happen over here. It could happen right away. It could come through right away, and it did. If it didn't, we could do a refresh with that same icon that we used refresh when we were learning about Google Classroom, and we could check and see a little bit faster if it came. But you see, it came through right away once I sent it. So in my list of emails, here's a new email. We see who it came from. We see the subject that's in bold right here, and we see just a little bit of the message. If the message is very short, you might see it all. Hello from Mr. Henderson, that's all the message has. If the message went on for many sentences or paragraphs, you might not see the whole thing. But we click on that email message and we see the entire message. If it had more, if it had a picture, if it had something else included, we see all of it here. Now, we could just be done with it and we could go back to our inbox. We could be done with it and delete it. Or we could do something with that email, and what we're going to do is we're going to reply. So when you see this email message from me, and it's going to be in your inbox, you're going to reply by hitting the reply button right here. There's also a button that said forward, which we're not going to use. And you're just going to type something very brief to me. And here's what I want, and here's how I'm going to know that you watched this video, you paid attention, and you knew what to do. I want to know your favorite type of dessert. You know how you watch YouTubers or watch YouTube and they say, hey, in the comments, tell me your favorite place or your favorite animal or your favorite thing. I want to know for this email, what is your favorite type of dessert? Now, I'm going to tell you mine right now. My favorite type of dessert, and it has been this way ever since I'm a little kid, and it's still this way today, is water ice. Now, there's a lot of different types of water ice, whether you go to a water ice stand or buy some that are pre-packaged in a store, but I'm just going to put my favorite flavor combination, cherry and, we'll put orange water ice. So I typed that out in the body right here. This is a reply to my original message, and the last thing I really have to do is press send. Now I have a lot of options here. I could say, from Mr. Henderson. That'll look a little silly, because I'm emailing myself back and forth, and I could say from Mr. Henderson, or you, when you go and do this, could put from your name. I could put have a nice day. I could put a nice greeting. There are some silly things you could do. You can attach a picture. You could. We're not going to learn to do that today. One thing you could do today, if you want to, is if you want to put an emoji, There's a little smiley face right here where you could go ahead and you could attach an emoji and you can look through. And I know kids learn about emojis. My kids at home, they learned to do emojis and messages from the time they were probably 2 years old. So I know that you guys could probably all find and put in an emoji if you want, just to make it fun, just to be silly. Here, I'll put in this one right here with some cool shades. And when you're ready, you're going to press send, and I am going to get tons and tons of emails to show me that you got an email from me and you know how to reply to that email. That's wonderful, but we're not done just yet because I don't want to be the only person who gets tons of email today. We're going to give tons of email to somebody else. What we're going to do is, and now that we sent that, right, we replied, and you can see here the whole conversation. So first I said hello for Mr. Henderson, then you replied. We're going to go back to our inbox. We could click inbox right here, or we could use this back button, and we are going to start a brand new message. Now, we're going to start a brand new message, and we're going to use this compose button right here. It's got a plus sign by it, and it says compose. Compose is a similar word. It's a synonym to create. And we need three things in this email. We need to put an address we're sending it to. We need to give it a subject. And we need to type something in the body or the main section of the message. Now, who are we going to send this to? Well, for today, I picked Mrs. Farrell, our art teacher. Hopefully you know Mrs. Farrell, and if you know Mrs. Farrell, you know that she loves all types of happy things like yoga and rainbows and positivity and gratitude and compliments and so many nice things. So she's a perfect person to send a nice email to. To send her an email, we need to know her address. And this is the main thing in this whole video or this whole lesson that you have to do 100% perfectly. Because if you spell something or type something in the subject wrong, it's going to be okay. If you type something in the body wrong, it's going to be okay. If you don't type Mrs. Farrell's address 100% perfectly, it's going to be okay, but it's not going to get to her. Okay, so we need to type it exactly. We need to make sure that there's no mistakes. And I'll tell you first, an email never needs any capital letters. So we don't need to do any capital letters. And I'll tell you second that an email never ever has any spaces. There are definitely no spaces and no capital letters. Okay, so we can know that to start. So here we go. We're going to type Farrell. That's Mrs. Farrell's last name, Farrell, and then we need an @ symbol. That would be a shift 2. Now, hopefully, if you're in first grade, second grade, maybe third grade, you have a mom, dad, or a guardian, somebody there to help you, older brother or sister, grandmom, grandpop, whoever they are. Give them a big thank you. Give them a big I love you. But they hopefully can help you do that shift 2 to get an @ symbol, and then WeymouthTSD.org. Now, hopefully, the adult or older person, if it's maybe an older brother or sister, whoever that you're working with, hopefully they could check that for you because this needs to be perfect. This needs to be exact, or else it's not going to get to Mrs. Farrell. And that's okay. You could always try again. You're not going to be in trouble. But if you want it to work, we do have to do that exactly. Now, for the subject, you could type hello. You could type hello with an exclamation point. You could type hi, Mrs. Farrell. You could type hi, my favorite art teacher. You could type hi, my favorite teacher, but then I would get a little bit sad because it's not going to me. But whatever you want to type is perfectly fine. After that, you're going to type, and that's in the subject line, you're going to type Mrs. Farrell a message, and it can be a really quick message, and it could be something like, I miss you. It could be something like, hope you are having a good day. You're going to notice, and you probably noticed it in my video right here, sometimes Google will give you suggestions. It's called this Smart Compose. And from the beginning, you can either say got it, or you can turn that off if it bugs you. Some kids like it, some teachers like it, some people dislike it. There's all difference of opinion, but that's okay. We're not going to worry about it. Whatever you want to do right now, press got it or turn it off is fine. Hope you are having a happy day. And we might put an exclamation point. And again, we're not going to do a lot of other things with email, but if you want to include that emoji, you could go ahead and put in an emoji. And once you have it ready with an address, subject, and something in the body that's a message, press send, and you sent your email to Mrs. Farrell, and she'll get it. And she's going to get so many emails today. She's going to be so happy. She may even reply to some. You'll have to check back in your email inbox and see. I'm not actually going to send it because if I send it right now, Mrs. Farrell will be very confused. But I'm going to X out, and then I'm going to talk just very quickly about Google Meet. Google Meet is another feature of Google, and it's to do a live video chat. Now, we haven't had a chance to do this in class. We haven't learned about this. You might have done some last spring. You might have done some already that you did for your first day of school yesterday. Um, the only thing I'm going to say for today is that if you have a Google Meet and your teacher sends you a link, it's also very similar to Zoom. If you ever heard of Zoom or done a Zoom, Google Meet and Zoom, they are two very similar things, right? They have a lot of things in common. They do a lot of the same thing, but they also have some differences. And here's all I'm going to say about Google Meet for today and this video, and then maybe next week we'll get a chance to see a little bit more about it, maybe try it out, is that for Google Meet, number one, you want to make sure that when you're on a Google Meet, that you keep yourself muted, that you press the mute button to mute your microphone unless you're speaking, like the teacher calls on you and you're speaking and you have something to say. And you also want to make sure that the image or the video image that you see of yourself is the way that you want to look. If you've ever seen people where they're just looking at mainly the top of their head or the bottom of their face or their chest, or there's things going on in the background where, somebody's playing a video game or doing something really distracting, or if there's somewhere where it's dark and they can't see, you want to make sure that you can be seen well by your teacher. I realize that there is a whole lot more to Google Meet. There's a whole lot more to all of this that I would love to teach you all, but that's about where we're going to stop today. Next week, when we have a few more lessons with Google Classroom, with Google Meet, we're going to be doing more, and we'll try a live meeting next week for computer class. All right, for today, make sure you do those tasks for the email, and that wraps up our computer class, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. You also now have two different ways that you know how to contact me or contact other teachers using Google Classroom or email. So that if you did have questions, if you had problems, if you had technical difficulties, if you have something that you need, that you can reach out and ask that question. All right? Great job today, guys.